Emirates, KLM, and Qantas have one thing in common. Their fleets are largely made up of Boeing aircraft. They have cultivated a strong relationship with the American aircraft manufacturer, that no one would ever foresee a situation where such a relationship would be in jeopardy. However, much to the shock of everyone in the commercial aviation industry, these three airlines have announced agreements with Boeing's biggest rival in the industry, Airbus. This announcement could not have come at a worse time for Boeing, as it is currently attempting to navigate turbulent times and stay afloat. In fact, analysts and experts perceive this to be a move that could finally assert Airbus as the undisputed leader in commercial aircraft manufacturing. So, why have these three airlines decided to overlook Boeing in favor of Airbus? And what does this announcement mean for the larger aviation industry? Let's unpack everything. The first airline that has shocked the entire industry after announcing plans to work with Airbus for the foreseeable future is KLM. To understand why this announcement has come as a shocker, we have to look at the airline's fleet composition since its inception. You see, after its founding in 1919, KLM first took ownership of a Boeing aircraft in early 1967, a Boeing 747 jumbo jet. Since then, the airline has cultivated a rather strong relationship with Boeing. In fact, it is considered to be among the airlines that made the Boeing 747 a popular aircraft in passenger travel. Almost every aviation geek gets goosebumps every time they remember the famous KLM 747 landing or taking off from St. Martin Airport. According to official numbers by the airline, its fleet consists of a total of 115 aircraft, and out of these, 96 are supplied by Boeing. This clearly shows that KLM has been a loyal Boeing customer, and it is possible that it could have developed its long-term strategy with Boeing's aircraft in mind. However, it turns out that KLM has been grappling with a challenge of an aging fleet. As of January 2025, the average age of its fleet is 14.1 years, this being way beyond the global average age of 11.6 years. Now, with such an aging fleet, KLM is at a disadvantage, as it means that the aircraft are neither fuel nor cost efficient. As such, many knew that it was just a matter of time before it announced fleet modernization plans. Also, it was a no-brainer that it would choose Boeing as the supplier of the new aircraft to replace the aging ones in its fleet. In fact, sometime in 2019, the then chief executive of the carrier, Ben Smith, confirmed that in the next few years, KLM was going to be an all-Boeing airline. The initial plan was to replace the Airbus aircraft in its fleet with Boeing 777 and 787 Dreamliner wide-body jets. However, in a move that no one saw coming, the airline recently announced that it had reached a deal with Boeing's biggest rival, Airbus, for the purchase of 50 units of the Airbus A350-900s aircraft with purchase rights for a further 40 units. These aircraft are intended to replace the aging Boeing 777 aircraft currently serving in its fleet. A statement from the airline reaffirmed its trust in Airbus's ability to help it attain both its short and long-term objectives. The statement read in part, "We have taken a big step towards our future. With the proposed decision of purchasing new aircraft, we can make our fleet significantly cleaner, quieter, and more fuel efficient with the A350s. This is important because we are all faced with the major task of becoming more sustainable. Furthermore, we can offer our passengers much more service and comfort on intercontinental destinations." It turns out that the long-haul wide-body fleet is not the only one that KLM is looking to renew. Instead, it is also looking to renew its short to medium-haul narrow-body fleet by, get this, replacing its current Boeing 737 aircraft with Airbus A321neo airliners. Currently, the average age of the 42 Boeing 737 aircraft operating in the carrier's fleet is months shy of 18 years, making it one of the oldest among the airlines currently in operation globally. With such an aging fleet, KLM has been spending a lot of money on repairs, maintenance, and on fuel, largely because these aircraft are not so efficient. So, when it made the decision to replace them, many people thought that it would choose to maintain fleet commonality and purchase the new version of the 737, the MAX series. However, the Dutch flag carrier shocked everyone by making the tough call to replace the American jets with the European ones. That's not all. KLM has also shocked the industry by announcing that it has reached a deal with Airbus for the purchase of 4 units of the freighter version of the Airbus A350. These freighters are coming in to replace the Boeing 747 freighters that have been the workhorses of the airline's air cargo transport department. Many people have questioned why the airline would overlook Boeing's freighter aircraft, such as the 777, or even wait for the 777X to launch and take ownership of its cargo variant. To put everything into perspective, KLM's current order book stands at a whopping 104 Airbus aircraft and only 4 Boeing aircraft. You would be forgiven to think that KLM is the only airline that has shocked the industry by choosing Airbus over Boeing, despite its long history as a Boeing customer. In Australia, Qantas has equally caught everyone unawares by announcing a deal with Airbus and completely snubbing Boeing. Despite the carrier's fleet being predominantly Boeing, it has announced that it's planning to replace its short-haul aircraft with 28 units of the Airbus A321XLR and 20 other units of the Airbus A220-300 aircraft. The carrier from the land down under has also announced that its long-term strategy is to have the Airbus A350 wide-body airliner become its new flagship. It has followed this announcement up with an order of 12 units of the Airbus A350-1000 for its Project Sunrise. The specific units that the airline has ordered will be fixed with an extra fuel tank and designated the code name A350-1000 ULR, or Ultra Long Range. The aircraft will be used for ultra-long haul flights that the carrier is planning to start offering from major Australian cities such as Sydney, Melbourne and Brisbane to New York, London, Paris, Rio de Janeiro, and Cape Town. The airline announced that it had also made another order for the ordinary A350-1000 aircraft as part of its fleet renewal strategy. This was seen as a major shift for an airline that had such a strong relationship with Boeing. In fact, at some point between 1979 and 1985, it operated an all-747 fleet. However, 4 decades later, it is now realigning itself with Boeing's biggest rival in the industry, so much so that it has not even placed a single order for the all-new Boeing 777X. For this airline, the outstanding orders include 52 Airbus units and only 12 Boeing units. The situation is the same in Dubai, where Airbus is winning big, and Boeing is left with no option but to watch as yet another long-standing customer makes the shocking decision to switch. In this case, the customer is none other than Emirates, the world's largest operator of the Boeing 777 aircraft. In 2019, Emirates announced that it had struck a deal worth $16 billion with Airbus for the purchase of 50 units of the Airbus A350-900. 4 years later, the carrier announced yet another deal for an additional 15 units of the aircraft. This time the deal was reported to be about $6 billion. This brought the total number of A350 units ordered to 65. It has also been reported that the Dubai-based carrier is also exploring the possibility of ordering the freighter version of the Airbus A350, as it seeks to expand its freighter fleet from 11 to 35 in the next 5 years. The airline has stated that the A350F is deemed to be the most suitable to help it address the heightened demand for air cargo services globally. So why are we experiencing this trend where airlines known to be traditional Boeing customers are rapidly switching to Airbus? The first trigger that could have prompted these airlines to snub Boeing and choose Airbus is operational efficiency. What does this mean? Well, it simply is how efficient both of these aircraft manufacturers are in meeting demand, maintaining production schedules, and ensuring timely deliveries of aircraft to airlines. In relation to that, Boeing has been performing so poorly. This is because the company is years behind schedule in some of its programs. For instance, it has yet to have the Boeing 737 MAX 7 and 10 aircraft receive certification to enter commercial service due to a number of technical and regulatory challenges. It has now been revealed that these delays have been caused by a significant issue involving the engine anti-ice system, which can overheat and potentially cause engine failure. Additionally, the Federal Aviation Administration has increased scrutiny of Boeing's operations after findings discovered gross malpractices in the aircraft manufacturing processes. The increased scrutiny has led to more thorough reviews and extended timelines. If airlines like Qantas or KLM had considered purchasing this aircraft, they would have no choice but to explore other options, as they cannot afford to wait indefinitely for a plane without a definite delivery timeline. The case is the same for the long-haul wide-body aircraft that these airlines have ordered. Boeing's inefficiency can also be felt in this niche, particularly in relation to the 777X and the 787 programs. Starting with the 777X, Boeing has faced a number of setbacks, including engine mechanical issues, structural integrity, supply chain hiccups, and labor stalemates that have forced the company to get back to the drawing board several times. These challenges have seen the initial date of the aircraft's entry into service slip by more than half a decade, much to the disappointment of airlines that had made their long-term plans with it in mind. In fact, Emirates has been very vocal about these delays. In October 2024, the airline's chief executive Sir Tim Clark was quoted saying, "Emirates has had to make significant and highly expensive amendments to our fleet programs as a result of Boeing's multiple contractual shortfalls. And we will be having a serious conversation with them over the next couple of months." The situation has been so bad for Emirates that it has even been forced to spend a staggering $2.6 billion to retrofit aging Boeing 777-300ER aircraft. This move is intended to revamp these aircraft so they can serve for longer as Emirates awaits the delivery of the new 7X. Now, to avoid similar frustrations going forward, it is possible that Emirates and other airlines such as KLM and Qantas that have assessed the current situation at Boeing decided to make safer decisions and order the A350 aircraft, which is already in the market and does not have a history of serious mechanical or structural issues. Boeing is also facing multiple challenges in its 787 Dreamliner program, and this too could have made these airlines decide to purchase the A350. For instance, in April 2024, Boeing confirmed that it would slow the production of the airliner due to supplier shortages of what it termed as a few key parts. In essence, the aircraft manufacturer faced a supply chain disruption that meant airlines that had ordered the 787 would have to wait a bit longer before taking ownership of their jets. 2 months later, it was confirmed that the company was investigating yet another issue. This was after the discovery of hundreds of fasteners that had been installed incorrectly on the fuselages of some undelivered Dreamliners. Following this discovery, a representative of the company was quoted saying, "We are taking the time necessary to ensure all airplanes meet our delivery standards prior to delivery." This meant that Boeing would have to once again cut back on the production speed and sort out this issue. Subsequently, airlines would have to make do without their new jets. Now, for airlines like KLM, Emirates, and Qantas, choosing Airbus may have been an easy decision as they sought to avoid potential delays from Boeing. Such delays could force them to take drastic measures like costly retrofits, or continued reliance on older, less efficient aircraft. Having talked about the operational efficiency of the aircraft manufacturers, we need to also look at the fuel efficiency of the aircraft from these two rivals, and why these airlines are clearly leaning toward Airbus. You see, when Airbus was developing the Airbus A350 wide-body aircraft, it went all the way out in terms of research and development. As such, the resultant aircraft boasts the latest advancements in both avionics and structure. For instance, the aircraft manufacturer integrated an intelligent airframe and a polymer wing design that is reinforced using carbon fiber. This innovation has single-handedly contributed to the aircraft achieving a remarkable 25% improvement in fuel efficiency compared to its nearest competitors. Also, the A350 is made up of 53% composites, while the 787 is at 50%. With that, it's easy to see why these airlines have decided to lean toward Airbus and pass on Boeing. You see, such a difference of 3% might seem minute. However, in the long term, the fuel savings from that difference can amount to millions of dollars. This is an amount that these carriers can use on other operational aspects such as marketing or introduction of new products to enhance their competitiveness in the market. Another aspect of efficiency that could have driven these airlines toward Airbus is seen in the engines that power the aircraft in question. Now, the A350 is powered by the Rolls-Royce Trent XWB engine that helps to reduce fuel burn by up to 25%. This rate is way better than that of the two engine options that power the 787, the General Electric Gen X, rated at 15% better fuel consumption, and the Rolls-Royce Trent 1000 rated at 20% improved consumption. As a matter of fact, this could also be the same reason why KLM decided to overlook Boeing in favor of Airbus with two engine options. The CFM International's LEAP 1A and Pratt & Whitney's Pure Power PW1100 GJM geared turbofan on the A321neo is better positioned to offer better fuel efficiency to airlines than its Boeing 737 MAX competitors, thus making it quite an easy decision for airlines. The same applies to the Airbus A321XLR that Qantas has chosen as the replacement for its aging Boeing aircraft. This aircraft also shares engines with the A321neo, making it a better choice than its American competitor. This situation raises a significant question. What do these announcements by these airlines mean for both Airbus and Boeing? For Airbus, these announcements are a clear indicator that it now has the upper hand over Boeing. As such, it needs to capitalize on these shifts and prove that it can hold its end of the contractual agreements. More importantly, it needs to prove that its aircraft meet the highest threshold of quality, safety, and innovation. Once the aircraft manufacturer does this, it will have won over the hearts of these airlines, thus paving the way for more orders from these airlines in the future. Also, this situation could be a double blessing for Airbus. How so? You see, Airbus is currently exploring the possibility of investing in two major programs: the A380neo and the A350-900s. Yes, it is possible that we might see the King of the Skies return to active service and, in addition to that, an even bigger variant of the A350. Now, Airbus has stated that the A380neo will feature newer and more efficient engines, as well as redesigned wing structures intended to help attain better fuel efficiency. Industry experts have hypothesized that the aircraft might be fitted with the yet-to-be-launched Rolls-Royce UltraFan engine that promises up to 25% better fuel efficiency than other engines in its category. If Airbus forges ahead with this plan, airlines such as Emirates will readily place orders for this behemoth, further positioning Airbus at a vantage position. The second program, the A350-900, will essentially see the aircraft manufacturer develop a stretch version of the Airbus A350-1000. This upgraded version will have enough space for up to 50 additional seats. The extra seating capacity and potential for increased revenue might be just what the three airlines need to choose Airbus in the long term, thus giving the European aircraft manufacturer an even greater edge over Boeing. On the other hand, this announcement by Emirates, KLM, and Qantas should serve as a serious wake-up call for Boeing. Based on the analysis we have conducted, it is possible to see that the shift of these airlines to Airbus is largely caused by Boeing's own doing. This can only mean one thing: the company needs to realign its priorities and focus more on efficiency, quality, and safety. Also, it needs to ensure that the new delivery dates of the Boeing 77X aircraft do not slip once again. If this happens, the company will technically have lost the little remaining trust among these airlines. Also, it needs to ensure that the issues surrounding the 787 Dreamliner and the certification setbacks that have marred the MAX 7 and 10 programs are addressed. Doing this will provide these airlines with more options to choose from. It is possible that the carriers might be persuaded by their long-standing camaraderie with Boeing and decide to add several units of the American airliners to their fleets. For now, Boeing is compelled to play catch-up and will only stand a genuine fighting chance once it addresses all the issues currently affecting its operations and trust among these airlines. Remember to subscribe to the channel if you want to see more videos like this. See you on the next one.